he isn't thinking about winning, and he also isn't thinking about losing. That's what makes him so powerful. He just wants to enjoy himself. He's like Netero and I, however I get bored easily. Him though, his games are relentless. Unbeatable, isn't he? Hello and welcome to Hunter x Hunter 101, the series that breaks down everyone and everything in the Hunter x Hunter world. And today we are going to attempt to examine one of the more mysterious, sinister, confusing, and yet surprisingly sparkly presences within the series with Pariston Hill. Pariston Hill is a well-groomed man of average build who is generally seen wearing exclusively luxurious suits. In addition to this, Pariston also sports a continuously and relentlessly cheerful disposition to the point where he is often accompanied by a great array of sparkling accessories. However, contrary to his friendly and approachable appearance, Pariston is a wildly untrustworthy and unpredictable individual who is widely disliked by almost every person who comes into direct contact with him. Although it should be said that this is by design, as Pariston actively gains satisfaction from the knowledge of others hating him. Which, actually might explain why he looks so satisfied all of the time. Because that's quite a lot of people, as Pariston was introduced into the series as the vice chairman of the Hunter Association, possessing official administrative power second only to that of Netero, and following Netero's death, Pariston became the primary antagonist of the 13th Hunter Chairman election arc. However, before we come to that, it should be stated that Pariston's rise to power was nothing less than remarkable, and due to a wide array of factors, one of which simply being his personality. In fact, Netero appointed Pariston as vice chairman simply due to the fact that he would find Pariston's constant undermining and scheming much more fun than hiring someone of shared interests, or even worse, a simple yes man. In fact, oddly enough, Pariston shares that particular personality trait with Netero. Pariston is a man who is always on the lookout to cause the most interesting possible scenario, even ones that are seemingly not in his best interests. And he's highly capable of implementing said scenarios, as Pariston is a natural genius, and quite possibly one of, if not the most intelligent character to have ever appeared in the series. In fact, the only character who we've really come to see rival Pariston is the legendary Jing Freaks himself. However, that's not quite all there is to Pariston, because although he claims to be quite weak, there are hints of incredible power within this man. Some of which are hints given out directly by Pariston himself, such as when he accused Jing of underestimating him, but at the same time, almost anything Pariston says has to be taken with a mighty grain of salt. Almost an entire silo of salt, actually. However, we do have a lot of non-verbal evidence that there is more to Mr. Hill than meets the eye. While we have no idea what natural category of Nen Pariston falls into, he is a more than capable wielder of the art form, having been capable of engaging in a hostile use of Ren against the Hunter Cheadle, as well as being completely unfazed by a show of Ren from Jing, implying that Pariston is capable of engaging in Ten as well. It has also been evidence that Pariston is exceptionally agile and does possess some form of superhuman speed, which was seen during one situation where he was fired upon by armed assailants. However, the validity of this has yet to be seen, as Pariston did stage the conflict for his own nefarious purposes, so it's highly unlikely that those bullets would have hit him even if he stood completely still. Regardless, this is just scratching the surface though, as it has been stated that Pariston also served as a sparring partner for Chairman Netero, and he was able to sense Nanika's aura whilst they were healing Gon, something that lower level hunters such as Leorio were not able to do. However, I don't know if Leorio is a particularly high bar to clear in terms of Nen, so let's just say that Pariston excels at secrecy and his combat prowess is no exception. To add to this, Pariston is one of the extremely rare individuals in the world who has been granted the rank of being a triple star hunter, the criteria for which is fulfilling the first 6 articles of the Hunter bylaws, which include the implication that Pariston must have mentored at least one junior hunter who has received a star themselves. Furthermore, a triple star hunter must have produced remarkable accomplishments in multiple fields, thus making this an impossible rank to achieve for anyone less than an exceptional individual. In fact, Pariston's intellectual rival and one of the strongest Nen users in the world, who has been referred to multiple times in this video already, Jing, is only a double star hunter himself, and within the entire association there is only said to be around 10 triple star hunters, 2 of which are the Zodiac members, Botobai Gigante and Cheadle Yorkshire. Speaking of, to add another feather to the cap that is Pariston, he was appointed to the Zodiac subcommittee of the Hunter Association and assigned the codename of Rat. As is expected at this point, Pariston was heavily disliked and even despised by each and every one of the other Zodiac members, as he would frequently use the organization to further his own entertainment. Unlike most of the Zodiacs though, Pariston did not change his appearance to mimic his assigned animal, although it could be more accurately said that he embodies and displays the rat in all of his actions, because the word corrupt just doesn't quite do Pariston justice. During his time as the vice chairman of the association, Pariston is suspected to have been highly active in the underworld and has conducted many shady dealings feelings in order to increase his own personal power. One such example was the founding of a temporary hunter agency, hiring individuals who were not professional hunters to conduct various jobs for the association. However, in a situation that can only be described as somehow, the funds for the agency were found in Pariston's personal bank account, which he claims to be a simple misunderstanding. Oh well, seems legit. In addition to this, Pariston's term as vice chairman produced an interesting statistic which saw a total of 18 hunters going missing during his 3 years in power, or on average 6 per year. And this is in stark contrast to the statistic prior to his adoption of power, which saw an average of 0.6 hunters going missing per year. And Pariston himself has somewhat confirmed his involvement in these events, stating that if he were to become chairman, then that number would be significantly reduced. This is one of those situations though where it really is difficult to tell whether or not Pariston is being genuine, which actually applies to all situations really. But in this case, he may have been saying this to simply annoy the individual to which he was speaking to at the time and generate more of that delicious hatred that he desires so much. However, wielding his power as the head of the temp agency, a Zodiac, and of course vice chairman, Pariston gradually stacked the association, specifically the review board, with those loyal to him and cultivated a great following amongst the organization, which would come into play during the Chimera Ant arc, where he was indirectly mentioned by Moral, claiming that Cheetu would have been captured if the association had sent another particular hunter. Nov then speculated that Pariston was deliberately trying to hinder the efforts of the extermination mission, which was being organized by Netero, in an effort to weaken the current chairman's standing amongst the association. In this case, showing Pariston's blatant disregard for human life, as the greater the number of victims, the better it would make his case. In theory anyway. But just as predicted, after the death of Chairman Netero during the extermination mission, Pariston immediately submitted his candidacy to become the next chairman with a swell of support from lower-ranking hunters of the association, and began the race as by far the favorite candidate to win. Now what followed was a complex election of ever morphing and amending rules to elect the next chairman, and a vicious mental battle between Pariston and Jing. Now it should be noted that Jing was by no means a popular candidate himself, and so he turned his attention to stopping Pariston using the most unlikely accidental contender possible, being Leorio. And so after a grueling 8 rounds of voting, the election would come down to a head-to-head battle between Pariston and Leorio. And Pariston was on the verge of losing as well. However, after Gon's recovery, Leorio returned to the path of becoming a doctor, and so Pariston Hill, somewhat by default, became the 13th chairman of the Hunter Association. For all of 2 seconds, that is. Because as his first act, he appointed Cheadle as his vice chairman and immediately resigned, thus making Cheadle the 14th chairman of the association. Now this was not an entirely unpredictable outcome, as Jing had previously floated the idea that Pariston had no intention of winning. To add to this, Pariston revealed to Cheadle afterwards that he did not accept the role of vice chairman to one day become the head of the association, but merely to annoy whoever was in the chairman role. He then told Cheadle to make sure that the association did not fall into boredom, or else he would consider toying with her seriously. And later on, Pariston submitted his formal resignation from the Zodiacs. Although another minor fact did arise from around this time, in that following the conclusion of the Chimera Ant extermination mission, Pariston had sent 100 hunter airships into East Gorteau and acquired the cocoons of roughly 5,000 hybrid Chimera Ants, thus essentially securing himself an army of fearsome Nen users. Now of course this would all come to form part of a grander plan, but to examine Pariston further I am going to have to put up a spoiler warning because the following events have not been animated, and to be honest, there's no guarantee that they ever will be. However, if you are a staunch anime only watcher and are determined not to have any manga knowledge whatsoever, then please do skip to this time in the video, but for everyone else, let us proceed. Pariston is later revealed to be a member of a team led by Beyond Netero, son of the former chairman Isaac Netero, and is intent on traveling to the Dark Continent. In fact, the entire reason why Pariston joined the Hunter Association to begin with was in preparation for this trip, which is deduced by Jing, who at this point intruded on the group and demanded to be involved in the expedition. And Pariston then felt something that he'd never experienced in his life, which was hatred towards a certain individual. And to be clear, Pariston is the kind of man who enjoys hurting those whom he loves, and at this very moment he was left pondering in a very excited manner over exactly what he would do to someone he hates. Pariston then goes on to stage an attempt to discover Jing's Nen abilities by having them both attacked by some of Beyond's henchmen. However, this plan ends in failure, as well as Jing stating that Pariston will have to fight him himself in order to discover what his true abilities are. And with this mutual understanding, Pariston temporarily decides to join forces with Jing on their mission to the Dark Continent. Some more fun facts about Pariston Hill. Some of you may have already realized this by now, but Pariston Hill is actually an anagram for a certain celebrity who goes by the name of Paris Hilton. Despite existing seemingly for the primary purpose of hindering Chairman Netero, Pariston was actually quite fond of him, noting that his constant attempts only seemed to make Netero happier about his choice in a vice chairman. He has also been shown expressing what appears to be genuine regret regarding Netero's death, but once again this is Pariston, so take that as you will. After resigning from the Zodiacs, Pariston's position of Rat would be filled by another character who refused to dress for the part, although it should be noted that he did bear a striking similarity to Pariston himself, as Kurapika is also a blonde, pretty man-boy with a slender build. Pariston makes an appearance in the 2013 film Hunter x Hunter: The Last Mission. However, he doesn't have any lines and all he really does is smile and raise his hand, although he is accused of attempting to cover up the Shadow Mission. In the 2011 version of Hunter x Hunter, Pariston is voiced by Hiroki Takahashi, who interestingly enough was the voice of Hisoka in the 1999 anime series. And finally, a truly useless fact. Another running gag with Pariston is that whenever he is seen confronting the Zodiacs, it is in an incredibly elegant chair. But that pretty much does it for Pariston Hill. If you enjoyed this video and the content this channel produces in general, then please do consider donating to the New World Review Patreon, because the support of all of you amazing people is what continues to make this channel possible. And if Patreon isn't quite your style, then please do leave this video a like, share, or subscribe, because it also helps support this channel an incredible amount. And if you'd like to join the fun at any time, then please do head over to my Discord server, where a wide array of shenaniganry takes place on a daily basis. And finally, please do comment with who, what, or where you'd like to see featured in the next Hunter x Hunter 101.